Today on Mr. Media, I'll talk to Sam Huntington, co-star of the new sci-fi network show Being Human. He plays a werewolf sharing an apartment with a vampire and a ghost every Monday night at 9 p.m. Stick around, especially if tonight's a full moon.
Hey, did you know that you can listen to the latest Mr. Media on your phone with the Stitcher app? Stitcher is smart radio for your smartphone. Mr. Media is on demand and on the go with Stitcher. Download Stitcher for your phone today. Get the free download at Stitcher.com. That's STITCHER.com.
So much media, so little time. Who keeps track of it all? That would be me. This is Bob Andelman, and this is a Mr. Media interview. You know, MrMedia.com, MRmedia.com. Stop by and check it out. There are nearly 700 archived celebrity interviews for your listening pleasure. The show is brought to you today by our new sponsor, Star Pirates. Star Pirates is a free online sci-fi game that I think you'll really enjoy playing. Give it a try today at www.starpirates.net. And you must be at least 13 to play. Again, that's starpirates.net. Mr. Media is recorded live before a studio audience that includes David Naughton, Michael J. Fox, Jayson Werth, and of course, Werewolf Flanders in the new media capital of the world, St. Petersburg, Florida.
Being human is harder than it looks, especially when you're different.
When you're around, odd things happen.
I'm dead.
You're a vampire shacking up with an animal.
Should we call 911? You're a werewolf. Occasionally. The whole point of this house was having one place where we can be human.
Talk to me again, if you're asked.
What was that?
Just channeling my inner wolf.
Being Human, an original series, all new every Monday at 9, only on Syfy. Imagine greater.
It's not fair. If you've been watching Syfy's new series, Being Human, Monday nights at 9 p.m., you know what I'm talking about. The ghost, Sally, is always a ghost. The vampire, Aidan, is always a vampire. But Josh, the third leg of TV's oddest roommate arrangement since the original season of MTV's Real World, only turns into a werewolf every 31 days or so on the eve of a full moon. Meanwhile, he has to listen to, I need to suck some blood, blah, 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 and I can't touch anyone, blah, 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 the whole rest of the month. But Sam Huntington, who plays Josh, makes the role come to life anyway, in this extremely well-cast, if sometimes overly gory bloodfest that mixes elements of True Blood, Nurse Jackie, and a Saturday morning Scooby-Doo cartoon adventure. Sam Huntington, welcome to Mr. Media.
Thank you so much for having me, Bob, and bravo on the best intro ever. Wow, that was awesome. I love the Nurse Jackie and Scooby-Doo in there. So great. So great.
Thank you. You're very kind. You're very kind.
It's true. That's awesome. I might steal that for later interviews.
Be my guest. Be my guest.
Yeah, right.
Just whatever. I appreciate that.
Sure.
I mean, the show is a very it is a fun mix of different elements at times, and there is that. There's a real element of fun that helps to balance off that sometimes extreme gore.
Absolutely, and I think that's kind of that's what attracted me to the show, and hopefully that's what a lot of what people will connect with is that there's something for everybody, but ultimately, you never really know how you're supposed to be feeling, even within a scene. You can be scared, but at the same time it's funny, but at the same time it's kind of gory, and then it's sweet, and then it's sad, and then it's just kind of all over the place, and in a really, really, really awesome way.
How sweet Josh's sister is so concerned about him that she's followed him to the basement, and how scary it is that she just locked them in.
Exactly. Uh-oh, is he going to eat his sister? This is so disturbing.
So disturbing.
Yeah.
Now, am I wrong about what I said in the introduction? I mean, shouldn't you be able to go all hairy and fangs more than once a month?
I think it would be cool if Josh could just turn it on whenever he wants.
Yeah.
That being said, I think that something that we explore in this in our show is as it gets closer to the full moon, Josh becomes more and more wolfy. He gets by the time it's the night before the full moon, he's almost like superhuman, and visceral and animalistic, and he's it's right underneath his skin. So it is something that he carries around even more so than just one night a month. It's something that's almost ever present.
And I got to ask you this. I'm sure this is a crazy question, and I'm sure there's werewolf experts out there who will just this will
it's
make
a crazy show.
Well,
I would expect nothing. Yeah.
Well,
less.
what's to stop? I mean, let's say Aidan gets real bloodthirsty one night. He can't do anything with Sally. I mean, what's to stop him from taking a bite out of Josh?
Well, I think there beyond the obvious gay undertones there. I think that vampires kind of avoid werewolves because they're stinky to them. I think that would be like me kind of like wanting to take a bite out of my dog. I think it would be about as appealing as that to a vampire.
I got it.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of what would keep Aidan away, and ultimately other vampires as well.
All right, and let me ask
Hopefully, I don't know. I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night as Josh and find myself covered in wolf blood. That'd be terrible.
That would be a little weird. But
my own wolf blood.
But now, the same thing, though, speaking of invading your character's space, I mean, the whole thing about Sally, the ghost, watching your, often socially frustrated character masturbate, that in itself is a little, creepy.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The fact there's that line in the first episode. It's like at least I don't masturbate to Nova, and that implies that she's watched me masturbate to Nova.
Yeah.
So that's a little uncomfortable. And who knows what else she's seen? I think Josh has some serious weird, demons in his that he's hiding. So if that, I don't know how invasive Sally wants to get, but I'm sure it's. She seems like an odd duck. So.
Well, Sally
maybe who knows what she's into.
Sally the TMI ghost, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. That's really creepy.
Now, the
I'm
sorry. The transformation to turn you into a werewolf. I mean, that's extremely good. Can you tell us a little bit about the special effects process?
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's some pretty intensive prosthetic makeup. Really intensive prosthetic makeup that takes me up to a certain point, and then beyond that, kind of CG takes over and transforms me the rest of the way into the final wolf, which we haven't seen yet on the show, but will be coming. And there's different stages of the makeup, and CG kind of takes you in between the different stages of the makeup as well. So it's computer-generated enhanced makeup is basically what it is.
Oh, that's cool. So how far...
It's really intense.
How far, do you go before the CG takes over?
Very far. Basically, I have an almost entire body prosthetic that I have to put on. That's wildly uncomfortable and takes an absurdly long amount of time to put on. So you go pretty far. Your legs never really transform because that's really tough to do. Just literally biographically tough to do. It's just that doesn't make any sense. But basically, it's hard. It would be hard for them to do it physically. So they have to do that, computer generated.
I got it.
They take you almost away. Yeah, your torso and everything.
Are any of the people who are working on the effects to transform you, the physical part, have any of them worked on other things? Maybe Planet of the Apes or other types of things like this, where they can tell you if the process has evolved considerably over the years? Do you have a better deal than other guys who've had to do it?
I think that the makeup process has always been a somewhat similar process as to what I go through. I did a show a few years ago called Cavemen that required me to wear really, really heavy facial prosthetic makeup every single day. Mm-hmm. So I can kind of say that even in the last couple of years, it hasn't changed much. It always has been... It started with like foam latex, which they still use, and they just glue it on. I think it's been that way for quite some time. But yeah, the guys who put my makeup on and the artists who design it are really tremendously talented people and wonderful people to boot. So it's actually been lovely to spend time with them.
And Counselor, just for the record, let it be noted that the witness is the one who brought up caveman, not the Inquisitor.
Yes, thank you for that.
You had to be thinking after that, that you would probably never, for any reason, be put in the position of putting prosthetics back on for a series.
Oh, you're so right. You're so right. After I wrapped Cavemen, I always said, well, at least I've done the hardest thing I'll ever have to do. They can't throw anything else at me that I won't be prepared for, because this was the hardest thing I will ever do. And sure enough, I've had many, many days on Being Human that have rivaled, if not eclipsed, the days of Cavemen. So.
It's funny. Which show is funnier, by the way, Cavemen or Being Human?
Well, Being Human has a whole different type of humor. It's much less over the top and much more grounded. Despite its premise, much more grounded in reality and what the characters are going through. And it is quite funny at times. I personally thought that Cavemen was really, really funny. I might be the only one, but I'm also one of the few people who was fortunate enough to see all 13 episodes that we shot. And I thought that show was actually kind of funny. It wasn't very well received, and I understand that.
Yeah.
But the later episodes that didn't air were actually quite funny. And I really like that character, too. It's
hard to spin off a sitcom from a commercial and expect it to get a fair shake, I think. I think that's the first problem that it had.
Yeah, I mean, it's been done in the past successfully, I think, but not often, I think the most recent success story is that Bleep My Dad Says show.
Yeah.
It's based off the Twitter account, Like, it sounds like a bad joke. But yeah, I think it was doomed from the get-go.
Well, just a little bit more, we'll let you go. What's ahead for your character as Season 1 continues to, reveal itself?
Well, it gets way darker, and there's actually some stuff that's introduced tonight, a lot of stuff that's introduced tonight that I don't really want to tell you guys about because it's really awesome.
Okay.
That carries through the entire season, that kind of informs the rest of the season for Josh. And there's definitely a romantic element in there, and then also kind of a mentor that Josh acquires. That's an interesting thing. So,
oh, very cool.
Yeah. So the show actually gets a lot less silly. Certainly than episode 3. There was some silly stuff in episode 3 that I think was totally not exactly what the show is, and now kind of we pick up the show gets a lot more dramatic and a lot more dark. So.
All right,
still funny.
Well, last question,
yeah.
and you've been very patient with us. I hear that you and your co-stars, Megan Rath and Sam Witwer, are planning a vacation together in Hawaii. Aren't you guys sick of each other? What's the deal?
No. It's the most bizarre thing ever. I love them. They're like my best friends right now. They're so awesome. We planned this trip because we don't know what we're going to be celebrating. If we're going to be celebrating the demise of the show or the show continuing, I don't know. I hope it's the former, or the latter, rather. But we're going to go and enjoy the sun for a little bit, and enjoy each other's company. They're awesome. They're awesome people.
Well, it just seems a little.
I am a little embarrassed to stand next to Sam Witwer on the beach with our shirts off.
Well,
it's going to not be a good.
I'd make a point of standing next to Megan with your shirt off, and it'll
exactly.
Yeah, she does know that
way smaller.
Megan does know that offset you can touch her and everyone else can see her, right? She is aware of that.
We all had kind of these horrible waking dreams of like you just like touch anything and you're like, oh no, oh god, I blew the take. Like the past 3 months, we've all been like touching people, going, oh no, yeah, that was kind of a weird stigma. But she, I think we're since over it. So
all right, well,
hopefully.
Folks, listen, you can howl alongside actor Sam Huntington as Josh the Werewolf in the new sci-fi hit Being Human every Monday night at 9 p.m. Sam, can people find you? Facebook, Twitter? Do you do any of that stuff?
I am on Twitter. I'm not on Facebook.
Okay.
I just can't do the Facebook thing.
Can they search you by name and find you?
I think so, yeah. Sammy Huntington, at Sammy Huntington on Twitter.
Very cool. Well, Sammy Huntington, thank you so much for joining us on Mr. Media today. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, good luck to you. Take care.
Really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
For more original interviews with your favorite sci-fi stars, surf over to our main website, mrmedia.com, mrmedia.com. Subscribe to Mr. Media on iTunes, and you'll never miss a show. Just search Mr. Media Interviews from within iTunes and subscribe for free. You can also listen with a piece of string and a tin can in many locations. If you've got an idea for a guest, a comment on today's show, or would like to advertise on Mr. Media, email me directly at bob@mrmedia.com. That's mrmedia.com. You can also follow me on Facebook or on Twitter, twitter.com/Andelman, or on Facebook. Just search Mr. Media Interviews. Thanks so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you sharing a piece of your day with Mr. Media. Thanks for listening.
Hey, this is America Olivo, and whenever I'm not being terrorized in the movies, such as Friday the 13th or Circle, or terrorizing others, like in Bitch Slap, I'm avoiding dirty old men like Mr. Media. And if you see him, you should too.